Hello and welcome to Your Money, your weekly guide to making the most of your cash, here every weekend on BBC News Television, available all week on the BBC iPlayer. The banks are paying back billions for insurance we didn't need or couldn't use. The Financial Ombudsman is here to tell us how to get our money back and how to avoid the companies that want a bite of that cash. Websites offering services you can get free elsewhere. The advertising watchdog is investigating. We've got the details. And how to stop mental health problems turning into money problems as well. The charity Mind is here with its best advice. Hello. One reason the economy's perked up, the sheer volume of money the banks are paying back to customers who were tricked into buying worthless insurance. Lloyds put another nearly £2 billion aside this week. That bank's total bill is now approaching £10 billion, and the bill for all the banks is fast approaching £20 billion. Robert Peston says that's equal to 1% of the nation's entire annual economic production. Well, the insurance itself, PPI, is legal, and for some people it's also very useful. The problem was the banks sold it to many people who either didn't need it or couldn't claim it when they wanted to. They're now getting their money back. So how do you know if you're entitled to a refund, and how do you get the money if you are? Carolyn Wayman is the Principal Ombudsman at the Financial Ombudsman Service. Welcome to Your Money.
Thank you.
First of all, do you have to contact the bank, or will the bank get in touch with you?
Well, I think if you're unsure, then do get in contact with the bank or whoever sold it to you. It may be that you hear something directly from the bank, in which case, you can respond to that. But if you're in any doubt at all, get in contact with the person that sold it to you.
And is that just as simple as having to find the name of that person, or can you just turn up at your local branch and say, I know I was sold this stuff, I think I should be getting my money back?
You can go to the local branch. I think the best thing to do is to try and find any documents you've got, see if you've got anything, have a root around in the loft and see if there's any old documents there that help you just make sure you've got the right business. But then just give them a call is usually the easiest thing, actually. But if you're not sure what to do, you can contact the Ombudsman.
Sure, but I'm just thinking of someone who might not have all the documentation to hand. They may have thrown it away or shredded it or whatever. That doesn't stop you pursuing a claim or starting a claim.
Absolutely not. So don't worry, is the main thing to say. Don't worry if you haven't got all those documents. Helpful if you can find things, so worth a little route around. But if you haven't, just tell them what you know, tell them what you remember, and they should be able to help you find out whether or not you were sold it, and if you were, whether it was something that you should have been sold. And
whether the bank gets in touch with you or you get in touch with the bank, do you have to prove that this insurance should not have been sold to you? Is the burden of proof on your shoulders?
So you don't have to demonstrate anything in particular. So it's not court. You don't have to put together an argument about, why you think it was missold. All you really need to do is say, look, I don't think I needed this. I don't think I wanted it. And I want you, the person who sold it to me, to look into that and tell me whether or not you can put that right for me.
Just skipping ahead a couple of steps then, you've gone to the bank, the bank's come to you, you've put in the complaint, it's been looked at, the bank comes back and says, actually, we don't agree with you, we don't think you're entitled to anything. Is that the end of the road?
No, if that happens, then you can come to the Ombudsman if you're not satisfied with that. So it's usually worth letting the bank or whoever have the opportunity to finish their investigation. But if they say to you, no, we don't think that you're owed anything, you can come to the Ombudsman, it's free, and we're impartial, we'll take a look and we'll let you know whether or not they need to put things right.
And you obviously have to give the bank time to process your claim and to deal with your claim, but what if you think they're dragging their feet, they're taking too long? Can you sort of jump the queue by going to the Ombudsman?
Well, the bank's got 8 weeks typically to be able to resolve the case. So it's usually worth giving them that amount of time because, sometimes they need to find their old records as well. But if you get to the point where 8 weeks have passed and actually you haven't had an answer and you're not happy, then you can come to the Ombudsman at that point. Okay, something a lot of Your Money viewers have experienced is the telephone ringing, and at the other end of the line it's a company saying, we think you're entitled to PPI money back, we will get that money for you. Should you sup the
the spoon with these companies and do any business with them?
Well, I think you should think very carefully about whether you think you need that help. You don't need to go to a claims management company. You can come directly to the Ombudsman. It's really simple. It's free. It's not difficult at all, and we can help people if they're not sure what to do. So if you want to use a claims management company, that's fine, but think really carefully before you do, because they'll take between 25 and 30% of any compensation that you're due.
Ooh, that's the key. That's the crucial point. They will take up to a third of the money, whereas the Ombudsman will do it free and the banks will process it free. So you're handing over a third of money that you would get anyway to a company that's doing something that you would do for nothing.
Exactly right.
So why on earth would you use these companies at all?
I guess for some people, if they think they wouldn't otherwise do it, but we'd urge people to think really carefully about that and say, look, it's simple, it's easy to do. Come to the Ombudsman if you're not sure, and we'll do it for free.
Just one last thought on this then. You think you've been sold this insurance. You are going to get in touch with your bank. Is there a time limit? If it's 6 years since you took out this policy or bought this insurance, does that mean it's too late?
No, it doesn't mean it's too late. You've also got 3 years from when you knew or should have known there was a problem. And that means you have to know about something specific to you. So if you did something like went to make a claim, for example, then perhaps at that point you should have known, and you'd usually have 3 years from then. But for many people, they haven't had anything like that that's meant that they would know. But if in any doubt at all, just come to the Ombudsman and we'll be able to tell you whether you're still in time. OK,
but in theory, the clock doesn't start until you think that you should get some of this money back, or the clock doesn't start until the bank gets in touch with you.
That's right. So you have to know that there's a problem. OK,
Colin Wyman from the Financial Ombudsman Service. Thanks very much for all that information about PPI claims on your money today. 3 wholesome nuggets of news for you. Have you noticed your gas price, your gas bill come down in price? No, me neither. Yet the price the energy companies pay has fallen by 16% since December. Independent analysts say that's enough to shave £30 off the yearly gas bill. MPs have accused the energy companies of ripping off consumers who don't pay their bills by direct debit. People who pay by cash or by cheque typically pay £114 a year more. Energy companies say that's because it costs more to process their payments. And house prices are still rising, but a little bit of the steam appears to have gone out of the market. The Halifax says prices rose by 7.3% between January last year and January this year. Now in December, the annual difference was slightly higher at 7.5%. In November, it was higher still at 7.7%. Renewing your passport, getting a new driving licence, filling up your tax return. Some websites offer to help you with that, but they may charge you for it. You could get the service free elsewhere. It's something the advertising watchdog is looking into, as did our reporter Mariam Mashiri.
Part-time nurse Vanessa Andre thought she was taking the easy option when she decided to file her tax return using what she believed to be an official website. Vanessa was charged £400 to file her return by taxreturngateway.com. Only later did she realise she could have filed her return for free through the official government website.
They do say, in quite small print at the very bottom of the screen, that they are not the HMRC and that here is a link to go through to the HMRC. But if you're someone who's in a bit of a flap trying to get it done with children and life going on around you, you tend not to read the small print.
Vanessa has since got her money back and the website she used has been upgraded. In a statement, Tax Return Gateway have said, "We don't accept the suggestion that we are a copycat website. We are a bespoke tax return checking and fulfilment agency. We've always made it absolutely clear on the homepage of our website that we are not associated with HMRC, DWP or any other government body, and that we will levy a charge for the service we provide." So when should you be taking extra care when looking online?
The problem arises when, for example, you want to get your passport renewed and you may enter passport renewal into a search engine like this. Now, if you press return, what you'll get are a number of sponsored websites. These companies pay to have their website at the top of your search list. If you enter into one of these companies, like, for example, this one, you'll see a pretty standard looking website that may or may not seem to be an official one. If you scroll down, it makes it very clear indeed that this is going to be a fee-paying website. They'll charge you for a service you could get for free elsewhere.
But not all websites are as clear as they should be. The Advertising Standards Authority says it's received around 700 complaints in the last 12 months alone.
complaints that we're receiving are about people being misled as to the nature of the service being offered, a feeling that they might be official services when actually they're not, and perhaps a little bit more worrying about the pricing and the transparency of the pricing. People feeling that they're left out of pocket for a service that they would not have entered into had they known that it wasn't official.
So how can you avoid making a mistake and paying for something you could actually get for free?
The first thing I would say is that you should go onto the gov.uk website, and it is just that, www.gov.uk, and then search within the website for driver's licence, passport or whatever, because that is the official government website, and you know then you're dealing with the right organisation.
None of these websites are doing anything illegal. Both the ASA and Google say they're working closely with government digital services to ensure ads are not misleading. Marianne Mashiri, BBC News.
It's reckoned 1 in 4 people will have some sort of mental health problem in any 1 year. And where there's a mental health problem, there is usually a money problem as well. Beth Murphy is from the charity Mind, which offers advice to people with mental health issues and to their families and their employers. Welcome to Your Money. The main money problem, I'm guessing, is that you become anxious, you become depressed, you can't go to work, you lose your job, you've lost your income, and then you're in a real pickle with your money.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, in the same way as with physical health problems, if people are unwell, it often means they can't work or they need some time off work, and then they don't have money coming in. And then, as you say, with things like anxiety and depression, it can make it even harder for you to do something about that. So, you know, perhaps you're building up a big credit card bill, you're scared to open the envelopes, your anxiety gets worse, and it can escalate and escalate.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It becomes a spiral.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you've not got much money in the house, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling worried, you're not going out of the house, and it's building up and up.
How can that cycle be broken?
So I think what we would say is, the most important thing is to recognise things early on. So if you have lost your job or you're not working, and perhaps your benefits have been cut, recent benefit cuts have been quite serious as well, recognising that it's an issue and asking for support early on rather than allowing these things to build and build is the most important thing.
Support from who? From your friends, from your family, from professional advisors? Where would you need to go?
I think it depends a little bit on the issue. I mean, if you're actually in debt, then it's really important to seek help for that. There's things like the National Debt Line or Citizens Advice Bureaus where you can go and speak to them, perhaps consolidate your debts and find a way of paying them off more evenly. If it's actually your mental health that's the problem, so if your anxiety, your depression, perhaps people with bipolar, if these things are getting worse, then somewhere like Mind would be a great place to go and get some additional support.
If you're a relative of someone who seems to be having difficulties, or you're a friend of them, or you're their employer, is it appropriate for you as a family member, a friend, a boss, to step in and try and break that spiral?
I think it's always appropriate to speak to people. The one thing I would be cautious about is assuming that you know exactly what's going on for somebody. So I wouldn't make an assumption that you think this person's depressed and they've got money worries, but speak to them about it. I mean, we find that when people open up and talk about mental health, the reaction's almost always positive for both the person with the problem and the person speaking about it. We're quite scared of it. There's so much stigma and discrimination still. Just having that conversation can really help.
And there can sometimes be a frustration on the part of a relative or a friend that you want to step in and fix it. You want to make your friend better, and actually that's not really in your power. You're just there to provide comfort and support rather than a solution.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you can't fix another person in that way, but you can give them support, and you can make them feel that they're not the only person going through this. You can make them know that they're loved and that they're cared about, and you can give them, maybe going out for a walk in the park with them, giving them a space to talk about how they're feeling. These things are really positive and they make a really big difference.
Beth, good to talk to you. Thanks for coming in. Beth Murphy from the charity Mind. And that's all from Your Money for this week. There's news and information about savings and borrowings and spending and pensions and all of that on the Your Money pages on the BBC website, bbc.co.uk/money. And you can get updates by following our feed on Twitter. As always, we are at BBC Your Money. Thanks for watching this week. More again next week. Hope to see you then.